Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Equity Guru Investor Roundtable. We have a plum dandy for you. This is pretty cool. It's called AMPS, and it's AMPD on the Canadian Exchange. They're in Vancouver. It's Anthony Brown, the boss man. I'm Rob. Vishal is with us. Chris Perry is with us. It's a three-man whack today, a triangle of investment love. And we begin with the guru, the man often in love, always in love with investing, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Perry.
Howdy. Okay, so for the last several years, I've been regularly talking about a company called AMPD, AMPD, AMP Ventures, AMP Technologies. It sort of swirls around, but it's AMPed. And what AMPed is if you're looking at the metaverse, which a lot of people are, and saying, I don't know what this is, and I don't know how it works, but I see that the company Facebook changed its name to Meta and then put $10 billion into developing what they say will be the next iteration of the internet. You have to figure that when they blow through those $10 billion, they'll have cleared the path for the guys that actually know what they're doing, which is, among others, AMPed. We also do business, we should note, with a company called Versus, V-E-R-S-E-S. VERS as a ticker symbol, which is also in the metaverse space in a completely different way. But what AMPed is the picks and shovels of the metaverse. I guess the digital picks and shovels. The potential of the internet to be like much bigger and all-encompassing and useful than it is today is out there for everyone to see, right? Right now we have a one-way internet. I go to Netflix and I say, show me this movie, and then Netflix sends me the movie. I don't send a bunch of stuff back. It's very one-way traffic, right? I send a command, the internet sends me back the file. I move my joystick to the left, the internet sends me a display of what that happens into my character in Fortnite. If you want to make it two-way, if you want to make it so that you're sending data and data is coming back, you're sending data to an AI machine learning setup, and that is then sending more data back to you, and like to really get the good B2B use out of the internet, you need something better than this internet that was built for showing video and e-commerce, right? You need to be able to send large amounts of information without it running through your TELUS fiber optic bandwidth in one night. You need to be able to render your video without it killing your AWS limited bandwidth account. So what AMPed is massive computer storage designed for specific uses. So it's not like, hey, here's a big chunk of server space, do with what you will. It's like, what do you want to do with that server space? Well, I want to render video animation that's going to be on the big screen. Oh, cool. So here's a bunch of tools that help me do that. Here's a bunch of space that's set up exactly so you can do that. And here's either a satellite or a fiber optic connection to our fiber center without you having to go through the rinky-dink internet that sends your stuff to Winnipeg and then down to LA and then to Schenectady and then back to you. So it's basically bespoke web storage and functionality, which you and me don't need, right? We have a WordPress website, we stick it out there with GoDaddy and it's fine. But the minute that you're doing virtual reality or augmented reality or advanced machine learning or heavy video render or any of the applications that the next internet will be able to do, you just can't do that through Amazon Web Services. You can't do it through one-size-fits-all hosting. You need something big enough and functional enough. Now, for the people that do need that, like, remember back in the day when Bitcoin had its first shit the bed moment, and all the Bitcoin miners said, we're going to take all of our mining equipment and use it to do video render instead. Right. That'll be great. Cool. How'd you go with all that? How many of you got contracts with Disney and Warner Brothers? None? None of you? Okay. Well, AMPed has video render stuff working out of its center on Granville Island right now, right? Where Rick and Morty is animated through AMP servers as an example, cool. Right? Yeah. Big feature films. Now, that's one thing that's good that will make them lots of money, but it's a client by client business. It's slow going. It's opening doors with really big multinational corporations, showing them that you can do what they need, and then unplugging them from the systems that they're already plugged into to the next systems, right? it's cheaper, it's better, you use whatever tools you want, but that process of taking your hand out of someone's ass and sticking it in the new guy's ass, there's a lot of hand washing and that sort of thing. So,
hell of an analogy.
I do what I can so I can relate to the people. So now AMPD has got, a good little business there that is rapidly becoming a bigger business. But if you go through their financials, you see growth, but it's steady growth, right? It's like client by client, and that ain't the way that you're going to turn into a $100 billion company. But if you can anchor yourselves into the facilities that people are using, the big multi-billion dollar companies are using to get their next thing out there, now you get a piece of everyone's deal and get that upside. So AMPD is partnered up with a company that's creating a virtual movie production studio in East Vancouver. I say creating, it's created. It's out there, right? It's a Chinese conglomerate that has done the majority of the funding, but the works, what makes the system work is the heavy computing that AMPD provides. So there's an extra throw on top that is yet to really kick in financially for them, but which will, on an ongoing basis, see not only their income increase, but their relationships with multinationals in the theater, in the movie production space, in TV production space. They're going to be with them all day, every day. It's a big deal. So, at the risk of filibustering, that's the number 2. Now, number 3 is something that they mentioned recently, which is, and I want to leave you some meat on the bone. I want to get to you, but they've done a deal with to build a volumetric capture studio, which last week I walked through down on Great Northern Way. Volumetric capture is, generally a movie camera, it picks you up 2D. If you put a couple of cameras together, it can do 3D, right? But it's an effect. But if you want to be able to do, let's say, a music video of a famous rock band, and you want the viewer to be able to put on goggles and stand next to the band, or walk around the front and face the band, or turn around and face the crowd. That's called volumetric capture, right? So that means that the band is filmed with 100 different high definition cameras at once, 100 plus, could be 500, could be 1,000, but all at once, and they're all measuring what the image is from that particular angle, right? How deep it goes, what it is. So you're getting a sense of data out of the what used to just be images. And that data can allow you to put together the scene on a high performance server and allow the user to say, I'm going to go and stand behind the drummer. I'm going to go and be the drummer. I'm going to go and dance next to the lead singer, right? Take that into other sports, take it into theater production, take it into movie production, TV production, right? The NBA has been experimenting for a couple of years with volumetric, basically by having a couple of hundred cameras around an NBA court and allowing people to change the view that they want to watch it from. But this is much different. This is being able to go into the court. It's to be able to feel like you're a part of the thing that's in front of you. Now, even if all we think about, just quietly, gentlemen, is the pornography of it.
Oh, God.
Well,
Oh, geez.
come on now.
Forget about it.
Taking that from as an aside, so AMPD has now the largest volumetric studio that they're aware of anywhere. I went down and had a look at it. It is truly awe-inspiring to stand in.
Nice.
It's a big old green machine that when you walk in there, you're just like, oh, I can feel the technology around me.
Are we already living in the Matrix, or are we almost living in the Matrix?
We're almost living in it. When you get to a point where you can have enough information coming back to you from any one thing. Instead of watching Game of Thrones, I could decide I want to see what it looks like on the dragon side of the screen.
Chop someone's head off.
That's the future. But in order to get that, you need bigger studios that do this stuff, more cameras, more bandwidth, and more places that will actually allow you to put the data together in a way that makes sense. Now, I won't bore you with the financials of this studio when it's running, but let's just say that from what I understand, if they're running this thing at full tilt, and there's no reason to think they won't be, because other facilities like it are running at full tilt. Between $5 and $12 million in potential revenue a year just from that one facility. And they've put a lot less money than that into the facility itself. So for mine, I'm expecting AMPD to ramp up their revenues in the year ahead. They're already up double from where they were last year. but I think that you're going to see some significant upside from this mob.
Yeah.
They've already got really large partners that unfortunately don't allow you to just toss out press releases that drop their names willy-nilly.
Right.
When I walked out there, the smiles on these guys' faces, they honestly feel like all of the struggle of the last few years has been worth it to get to this place. Where now they are dealing with numbers that they can't even talk about because people would think that they're just ridiculous.
Right. I just like,
and it's at a 52-week low.
Yeah, I'll talk about that for sure. Yeah.
I just like just the name of some of their products: Amped Virtual Studio, Amped Virtual Production Services, Amped Render Solutions, Amped Cloud Plus. I mean, they're all over the place. Amped Game Hosting, they're in that area as well.
Exactly, esports and video games too.
Great use of the word the town Schenectady, by the way, one of my favorite.
I always throw in Schenectady.
One of my favorites is a joke city.
It's the moose jaw of the U.S.
You were filibustered, Vishal. So, and plus, Chris covered it all anyway. So you're going to get to go to the charts,
charts for sure. Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to quickly just build there on what Chris said, especially about that virtual production studio. You know, movies, logistics, very crazy nowadays. Just the scheduling of all that kind of stuff. So doing all these kind of things in studios is huge, right? And I think Chris, you gave the example of what was it, the Mandalorian, right? They used similar technology.
Yep.
Yeah. So something like that, and you know, you're in Vancouver, which is I think a good market where people come here to film things anyway. So I do think this is a stock with big upside potential. As Chris mentioned, you know, it was close to a 52-week low. You look at the charts here, which you will see on your screen there. The stock has been basically in this downtrend, and since May of this year, we've just been basically creating this range here. There was a bit of a pop in early July, and I also do believe there was a lot of pops when, you know, anything metaverse came out, and AMP put out a press release about the metaverse. That got the stock going here a bit, but right now, you know, we are, I would say, in this range that's between 12 cents here to the bottom, and at the upside here about 18.5 cents. And the stock has just been bouncing between those two levels, as I said, since May of this year. There was a bit of a pop in July that took us up to 25 cents, but then we did come back below that 18.5 level in basically a week's time after we got that pop. So 18.5 and 12 cents are the zones that you want to watch for. But what gets me sort of excited about a stock like this is generally after you have this long downtrend and then you see this range, especially when it's, you know, near lows or near the 52-week lows, and the stock is ranging for quite some time. That's telling me, you know, that there's an exhaustion of sellers, and the stock is now building this new base or this new range to begin a new trend. So in another way, or in a simple way, the downtrend is now over. Stock has been ranging or is flat, and it's ready now to start or initiate a new uptrend. But we need, you know, that big catalyst, or well, a big catalyst and a big breakout, right? We get those two things, the fundamentals and the technicals aligned together. As I said, in this case, if we can get just above that 18 cents level, that would be a very strong breakout. But I think, you know, if you're looking for something to jump into and hold for the long term, this is the type of chart that I would be looking at. And, you know, I'm just looking at the recent price action too. With all the market sell-off, you know, the stock has done relatively well in the month of August, just ranging between 13 cents and 17.5 cents here, while other stocks have just been, you know, absolutely killed. So it's holding up quite well within this range, and it just looks like we're ready to make that big reversal move. We just need that catalyst. But once we get that, this just looks like a major reversal play, in my opinion.
It's worth noting, Vishal, as well, that that big down from 25 cents came around the time that they started talking about doing the financing that they just closed.
We should just mention that as well. Yeah, there was the financing. I believe they raised about 1.8 million.
Which gives them all the runway they need to do a little bit of growth capital in the year ahead and have a bit of protection should the economy go butkus. You know, when you announce a 14-cent round and your stock is bouncing off 17.5, generally to me means that people who have the stock and are interested in that round are selling at the stock to get the money to get in it cheaper, right?
Right.
You can sell for 17.5 cents all the way down to 14, buy the stock back in private placement at 14 and get a warrant. why wouldn't you do that, right? You're getting all the potential upside and you're paying the exact same amount, maybe even taking some profit off the table.
Exactly.
Maybe getting more shares out of the back of it. So now that that financing is closed and the money's in the door, now they have the chance to get back into the news cycle, make some announcements, make some launches. I know that these guys had an investor conference. They did a presentation at SIGGRAPH, which is a big technology conference. They were up on the stage there. They held the house in the palm of their hand. They showed everything they're doing. And there were also government officials there, federal government, who have at their disposal potential for grants to spur industries like this on. And making a lot of hay out of the note that, hey, the companies in America that are in this business are multi-billion-dollar companies.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a Canadian competitor out here, Mr. Minister of Technology? So I feel like these guys, look, I've been on them for a long time. I've held a lot of stock in this company for a long time. I haven't sold any of it, despite it going as high as 50 cents down to 15 cents. I've been very public in selling things that I don't like when the company's doing the wrong thing, such as when they had a certain large investor come in last year, whose name rhymes with Schmeldon Schminwintosh, who drove the price a little bit and then sucked the blood out of the company, as he's tended to do with every company he's ever been involved in. You know, I won't say these guys haven't made mistakes along the way. I'm certainly have been impatient watching my money sit there, losing opportunity potential while I waited for everything to come together. But on the other side of that, I've been talking to these guys since day one, before day one, and being updated with what they're doing, how they're doing it along those times. And the fact that I've left my money alone, even though sometimes it has gone way, way up, is, I think, indicative of the trust that I have in this group and the mission that they are undergoing. They are as smart as it comes in this technology. They don't mess around with quick news releases that could bump the stock up. You look at all their news releases, they're all partnership announcements, right? So reseller agreements and partners out of Europe and increasing their sales network. And you look at their financials and they're not going to knock you out of your shoes, but they're steadily growing. And in an economy where not many technology companies are, that's a really important thing to me. So I know, Rob, you're going to come at me and say, well, if it was $7,500, how much would you put on them right now? I don't want to sound like a broken record, but for the last couple of times we've mentioned this company, I've said all in. And that's because at a $12 million market cap, this company is sickly undervalued and one big partnership away from taking off in a major way. I think if people will read the news releases, which sometimes is difficult because they do tend to talk in techno speak, right? News releases, you see where this company's going, and go out and search on YouTube for virtual movie production and just look at the first result that comes up. It will blow your socks off. This is a company that is right in the middle of the best place to be in terms of media going forward in the next 20 years, I think.
You said it, 7,500 out the door to keep things going with AMPD, and Vishal, Mr. Resource Mining Guy, gold and silver. Are you on board?
I'm on board as well. Rob, 7,500 for me as well. And I just think, you know, I love the technicals here, but just as Chris said, to me, I've seen these type of patterns before, these holding patterns, and it just looks like there's that one catalyst that's upcoming, which will get the stock going. So I like the level we're at right now. The market cap is very attractive given the future potential for this company. So 7,500 for me as well.
We're going to go out in the next week or so, and we're going to actually film some footage at AMP's Volumetric Capture Studio. And I think my personal opinion is making it real, showing what it actually is and how it works, I think can be the catalyst that really sends this thing up.
Awesome.
And I'll also say that there are other companies that claim to be in the metaverse space. But if you look at their business models, they're in as much of the metaverse space as we are, right? They're going to go out there and learn what it is and figure out how to do it. There are other companies that have been in the VR AR space for a couple of years, and all they've managed to do is take some out-of-the-box software and pretend that they're Pokemon Go. The two companies in this space, to me, that have real potential versus and AMPD for very different reasons are the grown-up companies in the space where you can actually go and see what they're doing, not just see an animation that comes out of some out of the box software.
It is amped, and they are on the Canadian exchange at AM, M as in Mary, AMPD, like police department, amped on the Canadian exchange. Anthony Brown in Vancouver, as Chris mentioned, they have facilities around the area, and they're super cool. Virtual everything.
They're so not cool. They're so uncool.
They're so not cool, but they're
Anthony
cool.
Brown is uncool. He would tell you it's cool.
People are into the whole movie thing. They're fascinated by the production experience, the production process that gives them, people get their jollies off to just conceiving of it. And that's kind of what's going on here. So they're nerds, I guess you're saying, but they're actually, they're in a cool business.
Fight me, Anthony. If you disagree, fight me.
We can't guarantee the future results from past performance or from anything that the fellas have said, but what the hell? It sounds pretty good to me. So do your diligence, do your homework, and check out AMPD, AMPD on the Canadian exchange.
Not
This
damp.
has-
That
this
would be
has
another.
been-
Damp would be another company altogether, probably doing the porno side of the metaverse.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have them. Probably not. On the next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.
Time to get a shell.